guys, we're back, and this week it's for an awesome card, man. This is one of the best fight nights of all time, in my opinion. And just right before we get the video started, since this is the last UFC of the year, I just wanted to say, thank you so much for all the support this year. I really grew a lot, and that really means a lot. So all you guys that subscribed, everyone that follows the channel, really appreciate it. All the likes, all the comments you guys give, and make sure to do it for this last video as well. But like I said, that's always appreciated, man. I really do enjoy all the interaction, and I hope you guys like the videos. Hope you get something out of it, and hopefully you can make some money off of it. But hopefully you enjoy the videos a little bit as well. But so we're gonna get into this card here. It's a pretty good card, like I said. It's Geoff Neal versus Stephen Thompson in the main event. But with the first fight of the night, we got Rick Glenn. He's going to be making his return. He's been out for a little bit over 2 years. He's going to be taking on Carlton Minus, who's going to be taking his second fight in the UFC here. And Rick Glenn, he is a veteran, though. He has a lot of fights. And I saw he's expecting his first child in February of 2021. So I expect that has something to do with him coming back. I'm not sure why he's been out for over 2 years, but obviously a new kid brings a lot of motivation, and fighting brings a big paycheck for him. So, but Rick Glenn, he missed weight for 145 in his last fight, and now that he's coming back, he's decided to move up to 155, fight here. And he had 6 UFC fights at featherweight. He went 3-3, so was up and down there, but he did fight and defeat some pretty good guys. And as a striker, he's awkward, but he was 6 foot. He was really big for the division. He's southpaw. He throws weird combos, and he has a lot of odd movement. Throws weird, like offbeat striking. He uses a lot of feints, set up his straights, his short hooks. He has a pretty nice double straight left hand combination, and he'll throw some elbows. He has a nice leg kick. His left kick is pretty good. Hard round kicks to all parts of the body. Front kicks up the middle. His volume, his forward pressure is good. He has a high pace. If fighters can get inside of his long punches and kicks, though, he does become a little bit hittable. And he can struggle to get inside against fighters with decent footwork, like Miles Jury, Felipe Nova in the UFC, for instance. And he stands tall. His body is there to be hit. He doesn't really have the fastest reaction time. Kevin Aguilar and Rick Glenn had a war where Aguilar just got the better of him, landed the harder shots. But Glenn is super tough. He's durable. He gets hurt very badly, and he still finds ways to survive, get to decisions, get the wins, come back. And he has 11 finishes. Most of those are, accumulations, but he doesn't have that one-punch knockout power. Rick Glenn, he's not the greatest or most active wrestler. He will use forward pressure to get in the clinch, dirty box. He does kind of like to make it ugly. He'll use a couple punches to get in the single collar, land those hard knees, uppercuts. And he was able in the past, when he was at 145, to really use his reach very effectively, hang on these guys, tire them out, get in the body lock position. But even at featherweight, he really wasn't a super physical guy. He didn't have a lot of strength. He only finished 14% of his takedowns. He only has 4 takedowns in the UFC, and all 4 of those were against Gavin Tucker, where Tucker was already kind of broken already. He got hurt very badly, face broken, and he kind of was very tired, got taken down very easily. But Rick Glenn, he struggled to defend takedowns in the UFC as well. He's active with his get-ups and attacking off his backs, but he's been taken down 11 times in 6 UFC fights. In this fight, I don't think he'll have to worry about any grappling defense, most likely. He does have 4 submissions. He's been submitted twice, and his cardio and his heart is kind of his staple. So he's someone that's going to be a guy that you have to definitely probably fight for 15 minutes. But Carlton Minus, he's going to be looking for a better outcome in this second UFC fight. He looked pretty bad in his debut. It was a one-sided decision loss for him. But he took that fight on short notice. It was at 170. He didn't really look in the best shape. Now he's going to be making the drop down to lightweight here. And hopefully he looks better, because Minus must have felt he was too small in the fight at welterweight, because he hasn't fought at lightweight since 2014. But he should have a nice little advantage there in terms of reach, and just used to fighting bigger guys if he fights Rick Glenn and makes the weight appropriately. And he doesn't really look like a huge guy at 170. I feel like he had a little bit of body fat to lose, so I think he could drop down to this weight class pretty easily. But Minus should have a speed advantage here, but he is a kind of a strong boxer, one-dimensional type of guy. But he has good footwork, touches fighters up from the outside, finesse striker. He has long arms. He is going to have a a 4-inch reach advantage here in this fight. And he wants to touch and move, stay on the outside, avoid the brawl, keep it pretty, not, let it get ugly like Rick Glenn wants it to be. And he wants to, use his jab. He uses that jab very early and often. He throws 1-2 jab hooks, left hook, straight rights, and he tries to fight sharp, keep high volume, pot shot fighters, keep him on the back foot. He started to implement some more kicking into his style. He's still mainly a boxer though, but he will throw some low kicks. He'll throw some front kicks, front knees up the middle. Defensively, Moraes is not very good though. He keeps his chin high. He doesn't really move his head very well. Fighters who can get on the inside or counter his jab with overhands do tend to have a lot of success. And he hasn't dealt with forward pressure or explosive fighters the greatest. He has more of a decisionator style. But, with his movement, his footwork, and his ability to stay sharp, I do think on the feet he's probably going to be the crisper, cleaner striker here. And Carlton's grappling isn't the best when he gets backed up to the fence. Fighters do tend to be able to get in on his legs, and his takedown defense doesn't seem very good, but he has decent get-ups. In his fight with Rick Story, though, Moraes was taken down, dominated on the mat. Story was able to control him, pretty much do whatever he wanted to get in dominant positions, and Moraes did do a good job of surviving a deep arm triangle in the first round. He also survived a very deep rear naked choke against Matthew Semmelsberger, so he's a hard guy to submit, but ultimately he did get submitted by an arm triangle against Rick Story. I do feel he's better suited for 155, so he'll probably be harder to take down, hold down. He has one rear naked choke himself, but he's not going to be looking for grappling or anything like that. His cardio is good, but in this fight he needs to prove he's UFC level, and I do think he has a winnable fight against a guy like Rick Glenn, because Rick Glenn is going to be at a big speed disadvantage. He's going to be at a height not a height disadvantage, a reach disadvantage. And Moraes is a guy that uses his reach effectively, throws real tight, straight punches down the middle, good movement. He's going to be walking Rick Glenn into shots, trying to circle out of the way. And I feel like Rick Glenn is going to try to make it ugly, get in the clinch, grind. But I think him being having that big layoff, I think that's going to affect him with the timing, especially early on. I think Moraes might get ahead on points. He might try to come back late. But I also think that Moraes is, he's used to fighting these really big guys, whereas Rick Glenn, he's used to being the bully, being the bigger guy, fighting 145ers. So I feel like Moraes is going to be more used to the physicality here, probably be the stronger guy, and potentially be able to shuck off Rick Glenn's clinch work, not let him get that dirty boxing going, and just keep it pretty, like I said, and just finesse Rick Glenn. So I think the line is way off. I feel like, Rick Glenn, he's coming back after a long layoff. He's older. He's coming up a weight class, coming off a loss where he took a lot of damage. He's facing a guy that, did look bad in his debut, but took the fight on short notice, still went to decision. It wasn't like he got blown out of the water. It was at 170. Now he's coming down to 155. I think he has a decent style to win on points, and I don't really think Rick Glenn is going to finish him. So I got to go with Carlton Moraes here as the pick via decision. In this next fight, we got a fight that I broke down a couple weeks ago, so I'm going to be kind of quick on this one, and you could definitely go back and check that breakdown out if you want to hear like a full, super, or a little bit of a longer breakdown. But Cody Durden, Jimmy Flick, obviously this is kind of a grappler versus striker matchup in a way. In my opinion, I feel like it should be in terms of how Cody Durden will fight, but Cody Durden is a guy that likes to wrestle, so we're gonna, see what happens there. Another thing I don't really like about this fight is the fact that Durden is having to cut weight again for the second time in like a month, which I actually had but concerns about him making the weight the first time, which he did. He looked decent on the scales, but having to cut that weight twice in a month is a little bit of a alarming thing for me. So that's another thing that I kind of don't really like. But just when I look at the fight on paper, I feel like Durden is the better athlete. Jimmy Flick, he is a veteran. He has more experience, but on the feet, he doesn't really offer very much. He has also has a bad habit of backing up to the cage, shelling up when he's hurt, and he gets finished. In a lot of his losses, he's been finished in 4 of his 5 losses by KO TKO. And Durden is a guy that does have power. He has in and out movement. He's quicker. better, tighter punches. So I feel like on the feet, Durden, with the low kicks as well, is going to be able to just piece up a guy like Jimmy Flick. But if he decides to level change, hit a takedown, that's where Jimmy Flick could eventually lock up a submission, hit a sweep on the ground. Jimmy Flick is legit, man. I mean, a lot of submissions. He could chain them together. Good cardio. Doesn't slow down. He's a guy that's going to be there till the end and just grind on you, try to get you down, try to chain submission to submission until one hits. And Durden is a guy that, you know, has shown kind of questionable submission defense in the past. He's gotten submitted by a couple guys, and he's gotten submitted by a 12-13 fighter in 2018. So if it does go to the ground, I do feel like Jimmy Flick could potentially lock something up. But I do think if Durden fights smart, he is the superior wrestler. So I don't think Jimmy Flick is going to be able to take him down. And if it stays on the feet, I do think that Durden is probably going to be able to be the sharper striker, touch the chin, and kind of hurt Jimmy Flick, who's a little bit chinny. So I'm going to go with Cody Durden, second round knockout, same prediction I had last time. But this is a close fight. He's the underdog, and 2 weight cuts in a month does make it a little bit of a tougher pick for me. So I'm not as nearly as confident as I was the first time, but I am still going to pick Cody Durden to get the win here. We have an explosive fight here in the third fight of the night with Tafon and Nchukwi taking on Jamie Pickett. Both these guys are coming off big wins on the Dana White Contender Series, knockout victories. And Tafon and Nchukwi, I mean, he's been nothing short of impressive so far in his short career. He has had 4 fights, but finished all 4 of them, and he's never been to the third round. Nchukwi has 3 amateur fights as well, all 3 finished victories there. He got a big head kick on the Contender Series. He's even knocked out William Knight, the UFC fighter. And Nchukwi has been fighting, at higher divisions. At heavyweight, he fought at 205. Now he's going to be dropping down to 185 here for the first time in his career. And that's something that I think we need to monitor, as he's a fairly big guy. Like I said, he's competed as high as heavyweight. So, Nchukwi is probably going to have a little bit of a tough time making the weight cut, but I mean, he doesn't really have a ton of experience either. You can't blame him for knocking dudes out, but only 19 minutes of cage time, which is barely more than 1 3-round fight. But he's going to have to learn the ropes at the UFC level, which is never easy. For instance, this is going to be the first southpaw that Nchukwi has ever faced, and he's a southpaw himself, and you don't want to get hit by this guy. He's a nice jab. You'll go body head with it. Nice lead left hook. Nice 1-2. Good jab overhand left, and you'll really throw real power uppercuts. He has big power in his left cross. He'll dig to the body with hooks, good forward pressure. He only needs 1 punch to change the fight. Really nasty round kicks to the body. In his last fight, he landed a head kick that ended the fight. He is kind of a plotter, but he'll explode, and he's quick off the explosion, off the first step. His defense isn't the best, and he definitely needs to clean that up. He will walk into shots. He got rocked a bit on his fight on the Contender Series, but he's one of these African guys. He's going to be very durable, and he's not a grappler. He's physical and explosive, so he is fairly hard to take down. And he did show some good clinch work in his fight with William Knight. He was able to frame, throw big knees, body head. He even landed a nice spinning elbow off of the break. And he ultimately was able to hit a trip, landed some ground and pound, and stop the fight in that one. So showed a little bit of wrestling, I guess you could say. I do feel like at 185 pounds, he's going to be a load to take down or control and be very physical in the clinch, and if he wants to get takedowns himself. But his cardio is impressive for someone his size. That's something that I really like to see the most. He was able to push a really high pace. For Jamie Pickett, he's kind of had an up and down journey. He's done well in the regional scene, but he failed to win in his first 2 opportunities on the Dana White Contender Series. Fortunately for Pickett, the UFC did give him a 3rd opportunity. He cashed in. He looked impressive, and he scored a vicious knockout. So Pickett is the veteran here. He has 15 pro fights. He's 32. He has an 80-inch reach. He's also a southpaw, like I said earlier, athletic guy himself. He's a plotter, but he's also kind of one of these guys that plods in, but he can explode with fast, powerful shots and really nice long straights. He exploded with a really nasty combination in his last fight that just decimated Jonathan Patty. Really nice kicks, low kicks, round kicks. He'll throw those to body and head. He'll throw a really nice lead leg side kicks. Pretty good head movement. He uses his reach fairly well. He'll switch stances, shoot the straight, shoot the jabs. he does hold his hands low and kind of relies on his reach, his head movement, and his athleticism. And fighters can come over the top and touch him a little bit. He's also a little bit stiff, awkward on the feet with his movements at times. He can overextend on his punches and kind of just look vulnerable a little bit. He's also heavy on his lead leg, but he's durable. He's very durable. He can get hit with big shots, keep coming, never been finished. And Pickett needs to use his grappling to win this fight, in my opinion. He has good wrestling, good timing on his level changes. Even if he can't get the takedown, he'll be able to push guys to the fence, control them. Good chain wrestling from there. And on top, he's aggressive, big ground and pound. He, looks to finish the fight with the shots. 9 knockouts, but a lot of those are actually from ground and pound. He isn't a submission guy. He has pretty good takedown defense, but when he got taken down in certain fights, he didn't look good off his back. Against Charles Bird arm triangled him pretty quickly after he got taken down. Pickett was put on his back against Puna Soriano and kind of dominated in the third round of their fight. And even Jonathan Patty was able to take down Jamie Pickett as well, but Pickett did lock in a pretty deep front choke in that one, was able to scramble back up to his feet. And the line to me in this fight is off. Both guys are fast, explosive, dangerous. Tafon is very raw, and Pickett being that big of an underdog is a little bit strange because Tafon is hittable, Pickett's faster, he can explode, and maybe he can hurt Tafon. Neither guy's been finished by strikes, so they both have good chins. Pickett has struggled more with wrestlers throughout his career than strikers. Having said all that, though, I still kind of like the forward pressure and output and defense of Tafon better. Even though Pickett is faster and sharper, I don't think Pickett's going to get him out of there in the first round. And once his sharpness starts to go away, he gets a little bit more labored, wears down a little bit. I think that Tafon, just with his explosiveness and just raw power, might be able to start to get to him and start to hurt him. Even though neither of these guys have been finished, I do feel like one of the better bets for this fight is the fight not to go to decision. I'm going to favor slightly the favorite Tafon to wear down Pickett, get the finish in the later rounds, but I do see a little bit of value in Jamie Pickett. But like I said, for me, the pick is going to be Tafon and Nchukwi. In this next fight, we got a good one here with Aiemann Zahabi taking on Drako Rodriguez. And Drako, he made a lot of people some money cashing as an underdog on the Contender Series, and he's a blue chip prospect. He went 13-0 as an amateur, 7-1 as a pro now, and at 24 years old, the skills he showcases are pretty high level. He really hasn't defeated many great fighters, but did go 5 rounds with fighters like Tony Gravely. He also is a pro boxer, and you can see it in the way he fights. He has nasty counter punches, big one-punch power, pretty good footwork. He walks fighters in lead hooks, straight rights. His hands come fast, they come straight. He has good head movement, real nice high guard, tight shoulders. In the pocket, he's very dangerous in exchanges, real nice tight short hooks, close range power. And when he hurts guys, he goes for the kill. He's definitely a born finisher. I haven't seen him throw many kicks, but his hands and counters are real nice. 3 knockouts, and he's been finished by strikes 1 time against Gravely in the 5th round. Drako Rodriguez, he's a good grappler, but he doesn't really have the best wrestling. He's more of a opportunistic, submission artist and scrambles. He has a really nice guillotine. He's active off his back with arm bars, triangles. Really nasty triangle that put Mana Martinez to sleep in his last fight. And, Rodriguez has good submission defense. I've seen him put in some pretty deep submissions, but survived. Never been submitted in his career. He was able to survive almost 5 rounds with a guy like Tony Gravely on the mat. But in this fight, I do feel like Aiemann Zahabi probably is going to be the better, superior grappler. Rodriguez has another 3 finishes via submission, though. His last fight was his last win before the Contender Series was the first decision victory of his career. So his cardio is probably pretty good. I mean, in that fight, he didn't slow down, but it is a bit of a question mark. Aiemann Zahabi, his UFC run has not really gone as planned. He's 1-2, but he's also been super inactive. He won his debut all the way back in February of 2017, but hasn't won a fight since then. He got brutally knocked out by Ricardo Hamosh after that. Then dropped that decision to Vince Morales, and it's been over 1.5 years since he last fought. I'm not sure if he had an injury, but taking these breaks and being 33 years old isn't good for his career. But Aiemann Zahabi is a switch stance striker. He's a tough fighter, good forward pressure, works well off of his jab. He'll double jab his way into range for straights, hooks, uppercuts. He likes to use the lead hook as well. He'll throw the jab straight, then follow with a round kick to the body or the head that's kind of tricky, hides it. and decent front kicks, round kicks to the body. He's a plotter, though. He plods forward. He struggles to get inside. Isn't the greatest athlete. Isn't the fastest fighter. Due to that, he can have big moments of inactivity during fights because he just can't get inside, and he doesn't want to open up in fear of getting countered. And he did get countered in his fight with Ricardo Ramos when he opened up with a brutal spinning elbow that knocked him out. But he is a tough guy. He seems like he's pretty durable, and he's willing to take shots to give shots. He has 4 knockouts in his career, and he has 6 finishes, all of them first-round finishes. He's a strong grappler. His wrestling and physicality isn't the best, but good jiu-jitsu. He could scramble. He uses his punches to close the distance, get in the clinch. And in the clinch, he, tries to hit trips, body locks. And when he gets on top, he hasn't been able to control fighters that well in the UFC. He did get a takedown in the second round against Vince Morales, but couldn't keep a position too long. But Zahabi is a good game if you put him on his back. He has a good leg lock game, good butterfly guard. He will try to scramble to top position. In one of the fights in his fight against Ricardo Ramos, he was able to reverse one of his takedowns and get on top. He's very hard to control on the mat, and a pretty decent rear naked choke. But prior to joining the UFC, he had 6 first-round finishes. He hasn't had a finish since joining the UFC, and I feel like he's kind of gotten exposed a little bit. I don't think he's a good enough athlete. I think he really struggles with the speed and trying to get inside against these guys. And with him getting older, taking all these long breaks, I just feel like Drako Rodriguez is going to be on another level in terms of the boxing. I think that he's just going to really be able to piece up Aiemann Zahabi, throw more numbers. Zahabi's going to have to try to wrestle here. And if he can take down Rodriguez and control him, that's going to be his path to victory. But I don't see him being able to hit takedowns. I think that Rodriguez is going to be ready for that, know what Zahabi's going to be trying to do, and I just see him piecing up Aiemann Zahabi and eventually getting the knockout here. So give me Drako Rodriguez. I'm pretty confident he's going to get the win. Oh, man, this is a fight I'm going to need you guys to help me on, man. I'm really struggling with this fight. I don't know who to pick in this one, man. I don't like either guy. Deron, Winn, Antonio Arroyo. Don't think either guy is a very good fighter, man. I mean, Arroyo, he dropped the decision to Andre Muniz in his debut. That did snap a 5-fight winning streak for him. But, I mean, he likes to get it done early. 9 of his 12 wins are in the first round. And if anything you could say about Deron Winn is he is a durable guy. He's been hard to finish. He's only gotten finished one time, and that was late in the third round against Gerald Mearshart. But he's going to have to deal with a guy that's a really nasty kicker. I mean, he has that really nasty left kick to the body, to the head. And he sets up his high kicks with the really good low kicks, round kicks to the body. So he goes low, then goes high. And he's really powerful. He'll mix in spin, jump knees, really good blitzes with his straights, with his hooks. And he could pull counter in the pocket. If you trade with him, he will flurry, look to overwhelm you. But he throws wild slapping punches at times. He can get real sloppy. Doesn't have the best boxing defense. He ate a lot of shots in his last fight against Andre Muniz, who's not even a striker. And he starts very fast, very good movement, light on his feet, bouncing in and out. But as the fight progresses, he slows down, very labored, more hittable, throws way less volume. He's still yet to be finished by strikes. He's a very durable guy, and he has 4 knockouts himself. And he will mix it up in his fights. He uses his takedowns more to break up the rhythm, take breaks, and he's an athletic guy, good level changes. He will hit well-timed doubles. He'll also work in some creative takedowns, like he has these karate foot sweeps he uses. And when he gets on top, he's more of a lay-and-pray guy. I mean, he'll bury his head in his opponent's chest, throw these short shots, maintain position, catch his breath. Isn't super dangerous, but he does have a good arm triangle. If he drops you, he can put you in a submission and take you out. He showed poor grappling defense and fight IQ in his last fight, though. He got taken out a couple times pretty easily by Muniz and got threatened with some pretty deep submissions. He did prove to be tough to get out of there. He defended all the submissions, but lost a decision, and he also gassed hard in the fight. He will work to get back to his feet early, good butterfly guard, but when it got to the second and third round, he started to accept position, and there were some things I don't like that Arroyo did at the end of that fight with Muniz. I mean, he spent about a minute, 30 seconds just kicking his leg, throwing weak punches, and Muniz was just trying to get him to come in his guard. And, when the referee finally stood him up with like 15 seconds left, he had to have known that he was losing the fight and no urgency to finish. So I just don't think the guy is like super... I don't know. I don't think he's the greatest fighter, but Deron Winn, I mean, he's kind of been proven to be a fraud. Daniel Cormier protege, real good wrestler, AKA guy, but 5'6", fighting at 185. Now this fight's going to be a 195 catchweight, and he just plods forward. He tries to use head movement, slip and return, 1-2, that big overhand, rips the body, throw real sloppy kicks, but, I mean, guys can just box him up, keep him on the outside, beat his body up with kicks, and Gerald Mearshart was able to kind of do that and eventually hurt Winn and, made him shoot a bad takedown, submitted him. But Deron Winn is one of the better pure wrestlers in MMA. I mean, he had an excellent college career, some big international wrestling wins, and in the UFC, he's fought 2 black belts in jiu-jitsu, and I feel like he didn't want to take them down in fear of getting submitted. In his one fight against a non-grappler in Darren Stewart, he did have 6 takedowns, and it was a split decision against a guy that's a pretty good fighter. But Deron Winn, he has good level changes. He'll use his level changes to push fighters against the fence. From there, he has good singles, good body locks. On top, he isn't very good. I mean, he doesn't really work to pass. He just sticks inside the guard, works short ground and pound. His submission defense is questionable. He has 4 first-round finishes early in his career against low-level guys. Most of those finishes are ground and pound. His cardio is also a question mark. I would say he has better cardio than Arroyo, but he doesn't have great cardio either. Man, I mean, for one thing, I think that people are way overrating Antonio Arroyo. I mean, in this fight, I think he's going to need to hit a kill shot, land these straights down the middle, work the hard body kicks, follow to the head, try to knock Winn out. Winn needs to wrestle here. I mean, attack the body, pressure forward, try to make it a high-paced fight himself. And if Winn can hit takedowns, I'm not sure Arroyo will be able to get back up to his feet, and I do think he's going to get tired if Winn could force this wrestling game. Arroyo throws a lot of one-shots, a lot of spins, and if he just doesn't connect, I see Winn taking him down. But can Winn hold him down? Is Arroyo going to attack off of his back? Is Arroyo going to be able to put enough damage on him that in the clinch when he's holding him against the cage or when he's on his back throwing elbows or something that it's going to negate Winn's top pressure and positional control? I don't know, but I mean, I'm just going to go with Antonio Arroyo because he's the bigger guy. He's probably more skilled everywhere, but Winn's just a much better wrestler and could have better cardio and just lay on him and win a decision or get him so worried about the takedown that he lands a big overhand and maybe could even hurt him and knock him out. So I do think Deron Winn is kind of really live in this fight. Either guy could win, man. But I'm going to go with Antonio Arroyo by split decision or first round finish. Who knows, man. I'm going to go with Arroyo, though. But in the comments, tell me who you guys think is going to win. I mean, because this is one where I might switch my pick. So go look in the description, on Friday or something and see what I have, or Saturday, because I really don't have a good read on this one at the moment. But for right now, I'm going to go with Antonio Arroyo. And in this next one, we got a rebooking here with Karl Roberson taking on Dalcha champion. They were supposed to fight a couple weeks ago, I believe, but something happened. I think one of them got COVID, and they're going to reschedule it for here. But Dalcha champion, he's a guy that's been out for a while. He hasn't fought in over a year, 35 years old. That's a little bit of a red flag there. Karl Roberson, he'd won 2 fights in a row, looking good, and he ran into Marvin Vettori. We just saw what Vettori did to Jack Hermanson, and he took that first-round finish loss. That was kind of a grudge match as well, where, Roberson did miss weight twice in a row for 185, so we have to kind of monitor that as well, see how his weight cut looks, see if he's really drained again or what goes on at the weight. But man, I mean, this is a weird fight to call because I feel like Roberson is clearly a superior fighter, and in these type of matchups where you have a guy that's way better striking, better distance control, he's a southpaw, real good kicks. He's going to attack that, inside-outside low kicks. He's going to attack the body. He's going to be trying to time that left cross and just kind of maintain distance, control the range, back him up, throw those feints, and just try to, keep Dalcha champion at the end of his strikes, whereas Dalcha champion is a guy that's not very skilled, man. I mean, he doesn't really have a lot of skills on the feet. He's a good judo player, and he's just very explosive, very physically strong, very fast twitch, and he just explodes in with these big overhands. And if you throw a naked kick or you throw overextend and he can just close that distance and touch you on the chin, he can knock you out. And you flurry with him, or you try to exchange with him, he has a great chin, he's very durable, and if he clips you, he's going to take you out. So he's just one of those guys that's dangerous on the feet because of his ability to close that gap and land a power shot. And if you trade with him, he's very durable and he can just win that exchange and knock you out. But Roberson, he's a guy that has shown to be, a very durable, solid striker that's economical, doesn't really get into wars like that. And on the feet, I do think he's going to have a big advantage, probably piece Dalcha up, keep him on the outside of his shots, and just kind of, finesse him out there. I don't know if he's going to be able to finish him like Magomed Ankalaev did, but definitely I think he's going to be superior on the feet. And Dalcha's just going to have to close that distance, use that to get in the clinch, hit takedowns, but I actually feel like Karl Roberson is the better jiu-jitsu player, maybe even the better grappler overall, because Karl Roberson, he has pretty slick back takes. He's hard to take down. I do worry if he gets put on his back, if Dalcha is just going to be able to posture up and take him out of there like Vettori did, or potentially maybe lock it a submission. But, I feel like, all three of Roberson's losses are first shot submissions. When you look at Dalcha champion, I believe he has one submission. He's not really a guy that's very slick on the ground. So he's just going to have to be able to use brute force, take down Roberson and beat him up, or land that one kill shot, knock him out. But I just think that more than likely, if that doesn't happen in the first round, he's going to be a little bit slower. I think Roberson is going to be picking at him, hurting his legs, maybe taking something away from him with the body shots. And I think he's probably going to be able to run away with it in the later rounds. So I'm actually going to go with Karl Baby K Roberson by decision. I just think he's the more skilled fighter, and that's what I'm going to go with here. I actually like this fight. I know this is a women's fight. It's kind of Sijara, Eubanks, Pettis, Kianzad. Neither of these girls are named girls, but I like the fight because I'm a fan of Pannie's style, and I like the way that she fights. And this is a good test for her because if you look throughout her career, she's really struggled with these girls that are physical, that could grapple her up, put her against the cage, take her down, and that's what you have at Sijara Eubanks. So she needs to prove that she can get past this test. Sijara Eubanks, that's her MO. She's a black belt. She likes to use her boxing and close that distance. And she has improved her boxing a lot in her Mark Henry, her head movement, her crosses, her hooks, and she's able to, get inside more effectively with that. She always has that kind of dangerous high kick that she's thrown. She's gotten, some drops with it where she's knocked down girls. And when Sijara gets on top, she's more like a wet blanket. She will advance position, slowly work to better positions, and, try to get in the mount, get on top, and posture up and rain down ground and pound. But not a submission artist. She has no submissions in her career, even though she is a pretty high-level black belt. When you do see her at her best, though, like in her fight with Julia Avila, she's just able to clinch up with these girls, outmuscle them, take them down, control them from top position. And she needs that control because she's a girl that historically is a gasser. She gets tired as the fight goes on the feet. Her, her movement slow down, and she's not able to get her striking game going as well, close that distance. She starts to get pieced up, and that's where Pannie's superior boxing is going to start to shine if Sijara Eubanks gets tired, because Pannie throws real tight boxing combinations, real straight punches, not a lot of fat on her shots, and she's going to be the better striker than Eubanks. She's going to be piecing her up in exchanges. I feel like she's really going to be touching her up, but the thing is going to come down to, can Pannie keep the range? And if she doesn't keep the range when they clinch up, is Pannie going to be able to work off the cage? Or is Sijara Eubanks just going to be able to hold her there, get her control time, get her wind back? I do think early on, Sijara Eubanks is going to be competitive with the striking because she's athletic, she hits hard, she's aggressive, and she's going to be coming forward, making it kind of an ugly fight. And, if she walks into a big counter, then maybe she's going to slow down her forward pressure. So Pannie, in my opinion, has to kind of sit down at some shots early, try to get her respect, get Eubanks to kind of back off a little bit. And, like in her fight with Betch Carrera, she was just able to right away just tell Betch, like, hey man, I'm going to have this jab in your face, these crosses in your face, and you're not going to be able to get past this range. So Betch became very hesitant. She wouldn't close the distance and be as aggressive. And I feel like Pannie needs to do that here against Sijara Eubanks so she can keep the range, keep the distance, and start to go forward herself. And if she can start to go forward herself, get Eubanks to bite on the feints, then she's going to start to put on a clinic on her on the feet and run away with it with the striking in the second and the third rounds. But if Sijara Eubanks can get her game going, I mean, she's going to be able to just control Kianzad and get the win that way. And that's, you know, it's another fight that's real close. I mean, you could go either way with it. But I'm just going to go with Pannie Kianzad because I feel like she's the younger girl here. She's hungrier. I feel like she wants it more. And I just think in that second and third rounds, she's going to be able to out-hustle Eubanks, maybe deny the takedowns. Her game off her back isn't the worst. She could scramble. So if she can either get the ref to stand her up or just, you know, deny the takedowns like she did against Giulia, like she did against Macy Chiesa, she might be able to get the victory here. But this is another fight that I don't really want anything to do with on the betting line. It's just a fight that I'm going to watch and, you know, hopefully Pannie gets it done. But I'm going to go with Pannie Kianzad via decision. And, man, we got another good one here. Anthony Pettis taking on Alex Morono. And big drop down in competition for Showtime Pettis. I mean, he's fighting the best of the best in the division. Now he's fighting Alex the Great White Morono, I mean, he's got to be pumped up for this opportunity. He is, you know, multi-time, I think over 10 fights in the UFC, but definitely by far the biggest name he's ever fought, former UFC champion. And Morono, he's coming off a war just a month ago. He took a lot of damage in that fight, so I'm surprised he's coming back so quickly. That could potentially hurt him a little bit. But when you look at the fight stylistically, I mean, Showtime Pettis, man, he is slowing down pretty significantly. Definitely is kind of like paper mache these days, where if he gets hurt, if he, you know, hurts his hand, hurts his rib, something happens, he could check out. He doesn't really have the toughest mentality these days, but this is the last fight on his contract, so I think he definitely is going to be motivated to come out and get a win regardless, because he wants to either go to Bellator with good negotiating power or get a new contract with the UFC. I kind of feel like he's probably going to go to Bellator, but I think that he's going to come in here at least motivated, ready to go. For Morono, obviously, I think he's going to be very motivated, ready to go as well. He's just one of those kind of guys, too. Like, Morono's a dog, so if this fight turns super dirty into a war, I do kind of favor Morono. But when I look at it just on paper, man, I mean, I feel like Pettis is way faster, way more athletic, way more dynamic, way better movement. His striking is just much crisper. Even if you watch his fight with Donald Cerrone, I think he's just way cleaner with his movements, a lot less fat than Morono. Morono's very wild at times. And even in his last fight with Rhys McKee, man, I mean, he was getting pieced up against Rhys McKee. So I feel like Showtime Pettis, man, should be able to touch him up, use his speed, use his variety of shots, his kicks, his straight punches to just beat up Alex Morono. The low kicks, when Morono opens up, I think Pettis is going to be able to touch him. I think Pettis is the better grappler as well. If Morono takes him down, I think he'll get submitted. If Pettis gets on top, I think he can get a submission. Obviously, I don't really see either of these guys trying to wrestle, even though Alex Morono did finally hit some takedowns in his last fight for the first time in his UFC career. Used that to get a win, so he is showing some improved, you know, fight IQ. But this fight is just a huge, significant step up in competition against a guy that I just see as a superior striker, man. I mean, Showtime is losing fights. I mean, he did beat Cowboy Cerrone, but he's losing the fights to guys that are the cream of the crop, guys that are elite level strikers, and I just don't think that's Alex Morono, man. I think that Pettis is going to have a good time in this fight. I think he's going to be able to quickly download what Alex Morono is trying to do, get his reads, get into that flow state, start really touching him up. And I think we're going to see kind of a vintage Pettis in this fight where he looks real good here and probably gets the knockout over Alex Morono, because I just don't think Morono has the skills to, you know, really compete at this level. So maybe I'll be proven wrong by Morono. Maybe he'll be able to step up to the moment and, you know, touch Pettis on the chin, get a knockout or something like that. But that's another thing that, and another reason why I really think Pettis is probably going to win, because Pettis is a guy that's historically throughout his career, besides the injury things, he's been durable in terms of taking shots. I mean, no one's been able to knock him out. No one's even been able to drop him. And I don't think it's going to be Alex Morono that does it. So I just feel like Pettis is going to show off in this fight, have a good performance, and, you know, Alex Morono taking all that damage against Rhys McKee can't help him either. So I think his chin is going to be a little bit softer. And I actually think Pettis is going to get this second round KO TKO. So Anthony Pettis is a guy that I usually never pick, but I actually think he's going to win this fight, and I'm pretty confident in it. This next fight, starting off the main card, real interesting fight again. Marcin Tybura taking on Greg Hardy. Big step in Greg Hardy's career if he can get past Marcin Tybura. He's been fairly impressive so far, but hasn't really beaten any great competition in the UFC. Beating Tybura means something. It would signify Hardy could compete with top 10 guys. Greg Hardy has a solid jab. He showed that off in his last fight. That big power jab dropped Maurice Green. Fast hand speed. You'll throw that jab, left hook, and a real nice 1-2. He has some real nice low kicks, real good uppercuts. His straight right hand versus Soli looked very good. Real nice round kicks to the body. He'll throw high kicks, Superman punches. He's a pretty dangerous striker. In his fight with Volkov, he made it competitive. He landed some decent leaping left hooks. He doesn't really have that one-punch power, though, because if you look throughout his UFC career, a lot of guys have been able to take his shots. He's only been able to hurt real chinny guys. And he's improved his defense a little bit. He's good at pull countering, but he is susceptible to the jab. And he's someone that does eat shots and kind of... I don't think his defense is elite yet. I don't think it's great yet. But he's ate some big shots. He's kept coming. He has a strong chin. 5 knockouts in his career. And he hasn't faced many grapplers in his UFC career, though. Early on, he fought guys like Alan Crowder, who had some success grappling him. Some guys like Juan Adams, Dmitry Smolyakov. But those guys aren't even close to someone like Marcin Tybura. And Alan Crowder, he was able to catch a knee in the clinch, take down Hardy. Hardy looked pretty green off his back. He got controlled for a large portion of that round, looked tired in the second round, and made a mental error, landed a legal knee after defending a takedown, cost him the fight. And Hardy did show good takedown defense against Juan Adams. He sprawled hard on the single, finished him with ground and pound, and he was able to drop Maurice Green and finished him with ground and pound. And even in the first round, he controlled him a little bit on the ground. But Hardy's obviously not going to look for submissions or takedowns against a black belt here in Tybura. His cardio has always been very questionable, which is something that could, hurt him in this fight. Marcin Tybura, he's a guy that's regained his footing in the UFC, and if he could take out Hardy, he's likely going to get another chance at a step up in competition. He's won 3 fights in a row. This is the best run of his UFC career. He's coming off a big win over Ben Rothwell in October. He's already 3-0 this year, so if he can go 4-0 at heavyweight in 1 calendar year, that's pretty impressive. And Tybura is light on his feet. He uses a lot of straight punches, front kicks. He'll attack the body. He'll attack the head. Nice round kicks to the head. Switches stances. Good jab. Good counter right hook. He'll almost throw like a leaping straight left. And he'll throw a nice uppercut left hook combo. His head movement is pretty good. But he does tend to hold his hands low. And he can get hit clean when he does that. He kind of squares up when he throws kicks. Drops his hands. Doesn't control the center well at times. And fighters can push him back. And his last fight, though, he did show some improved footwork. He was able to eat shots as, Ben Rothwell came in, absorbed the shots, and countered well, which is something that he wasn't good with in the past. But Tybura in this fight, he's gonna try to use his forward pressure, his jab, and pull Greg Hardy into the takedowns, man, because Tybura has really good double legs, really good body locks. He's one of the best takedown artists in UFC heavyweight history, and he also could control you against the cage. He could hold you there, he could do his thing, knee you to the body, elbow you. Quick takedowns for a guy his size. And in his fight with Spivak, he got several well-timed double legs. He got into dominant position. He was able to land some decent shots, controlled Spivak inside of his guard. He's shown good passing skills in the past. He's good at getting to the mount, taking the back. Pretty good submission artist, but his cardio can be questionable in the past, but actually recently it looks pretty good. He has the highest takedown defense in UFC heavyweight history. He also has a good game off his back. If you take him down, if you watch for Derek Lewis, he was able to protect himself from that vicious ground and pound. Even after being dropped, he has good half guard sweeps. He'll throw up submissions from his guard to submitter sweep also. So I even think if Tybura shoots a takedown, can't get it, pulls guard, he'll probably be able to sweep, get on top of Hardy. His jab, his forward pressure are probably going to be effective. And this is just a huge step up in competition for Hardy. I feel like Tybura is just going to be able to know what he has to do to get the win here. He's going to slow the pace. He's going to use that forward pressure to get in the clinch. He's probably going to hit some takedowns. And I think when he gets on top of Hardy, Hardy's not going to really be able to get up, not going to do much because I mean, we've seen against guys that are super hard to hold down, like Derek Lewis. Tybura was able to mount him, take his back, flattened him out. And when Derek Lewis tried to do his explosive thing to get it back up to his feet, Tybura was able to actually control him and keep him on his back for the second round. So in this fight, I just feel like Tybura is the veteran. He has a lot more experience, and he has the big edge in the grappling if he can get the fight to the ground. I think that Hardy isn't a guy that has that necessarily one-shot, touch-of-death type power that Tybura has struggled with in the past. And unless he lands like a big cross, perfect shot, I feel like Tybura is going to be able to do his thing and get the victory here. So I actually feel like Marcin Tybura is going to be able to hit takedowns, clinch control, use his jab to back Hardy up, maybe even be the superior striker in the matchup and just get the victory here. So give me Marcin Tybura to get the win via decision. Up next year, we got a good fight. We got Gillian Roberson taking on Taila Santos, and Gillian Roberson will be looking to make it 3 in a row here. Roberson, if she can get a win over Taila, that would probably be the biggest win of her career. She has a 6-2 UFC record, but she's fought hasn't fought a lot of great girls, really. Not a lot of skilled fighters. She is coming off the first decision win of her career, where she beat Poliana Botelho in October, but doesn't really have a lot of striking to speak of. She really likes to just circle, fake, feint, try to get in on that single leg. She'll throw a 1-2 or a jab. Or hand speed, I mean, not very good. She doesn't really bring her feet with her when she throws punches. She's always off balance, but she will end some combos with some head kicks, and she's improving her striking at least a little bit throughout her career. She's kind of hard to hit just because she uses a lot of movement, and you have to be worried about the level change. But if you could back her to the fence, make the cage small, and start to pick at her, she can kind of get overwhelmed. And she couldn't get Macy Barber off of her. That's how she got finished in that fight. She's been finished by strikes in 2 of her losses. She only has 1 TKO victory herself, which is a ground and pound victory. She is a hyper-aggressive black belt, though, in jiu-jitsu, man. She's a specialist. She's always looking to time and entry, bring the fight to the mat. She really likes to get that single leg, man. I mean, that's probably her best takedown. She'll also use the double, come up into a body lock trip. She's also pretty proficient at pulling guard, using the X guard to sweep, and she will attack the legs, the leg locks, knee bars as well, instead of the sweep. And when she gets on top, she's vicious. She has a pretty good passing ability. She likes to take the back, hit that rear naked choke, and super heavy. I mean, she's a blanket on top of these girls. They're very, very, it's very, very hard to get up from under her. She throws good ground and pound, and she uses the ground and pound to open up submission opportunities. So she's a very, very dangerous girl. All of Robertson's wins in the UFC besides one have came on the mat. She has an armbar through naked chokes, a TKO with elbows. She did get caught one time, got submitted by Mara Bueno Silva with an armbar. And she can get a little bit sloppy at times, get reversed, allow opponents to stand up. But overall, she has one of the better top games in the division. Taila Santos, she's a very skilled fighter, forward pressure striker. She's good at controlling distance behind the jab, her low kicks. She throws nasty jab to low kick combination. She'll throw some really fast jab cross or hook cross combos. She has no issue just touching opponents, keeping them at bay, piecing them apart. Santos attacks the body very well, real good high kick. She likes to counter with jabs or check hooks as she moves backwards. Real tight, sharp pull counters. She'll sometimes pull back with her chin high, but she's usually good at sliding just out of range, so it doesn't matter. But if fighters come forward more than one, they may be able to land on her a little bit. Santos does have huge power, though, man. I mean, she has a lot of first-round knockouts. That is against low-level competition, so it's hard to gauge. But Gillian Roberson on the feet, I don't think she's going to be much better than many girls. And Taila Santos, she showed up her grappling game better in her last fight. She had a huge strength advantage over Molly McCann, and it showed. I mean, whenever Molly got in a good position, Taila was able to easily reverse. When Santos got in a good position, she either got a clinch control time or a big impactful takedown. And Santos can be controlled in the clinch. She showed that in her fight against Mara Romero Barella. She didn't really have a good sense of urgency to get her back off the cage, and she was kind of willing to just stay in that position, which lost her the fight. But she could wrestle, man. When fighters pressure, she's good at ducking under, hitting takedowns, good body locks. She had several nice trips against Molly McCann in her fight, and on the Contender Series, she was able to take the back from standing, control that position. And that's her thing when she gets on top. She wants to take mount, then take your neck and take your back. And she was able to, even take the back of Mara Romero Barella in the fight that she lost. But really in her fight with Molly McCann was where she showed her top game. She dominated on top. She was able to mount McCann, showed just how heavy she was in the mount. She did a good job attacking the neck when McCann went to stand up, kept her on bottom, and really just pitched a shutout in that fight. But Mara Marabella did kind of show the deficiency in her game, which is off her back. If you could take her down, she just was laying flat. She didn't really do much. And I definitely feel like Santos will get battered by Gillian Roberson if she gets taken down. She's not going to be able to stand up. I think she'll get hit with a lot of ground and pound. I don't know if she'll necessarily get finished with the submission, but I think that the ground and pound could add up and potentially get a finish that way. But she has good cardio. She's gone 3 rounds very hard, like in her last fight. And when I look at this fight, I really got to favor Taila Santos pretty heavily, man, because I know a lot of people like Gillian Robertson. They really, like her style, but I just feel like when you look at this fight with Taila Santos, Santos is a distance control girl. She's going to be throwing the jab, the straight. She's going to be throwing the low kicks. And unless Gillian Robertson can time a takedown off a kick and finish the fight, I don't really see her being effective with the single leg. I don't see her being the more physical girl. So when she tries to get inside with the body locks, I think Santos is actually going to be able to reverse, put her against the cage. I actually think Santos could even take down Gillian Robertson and control her on top if she wants to. And, the only way I could see Gillian hitting takedowns in this fight is she's able to do the, pull guard, X guard, get on top, and Santos can't defend that because I just don't see her being physically stronger than Santos. I don't see her being able to close the distance, get to the single. If they get in the clinch, I think Santos is going to dominate that. So I think at range, Santos is going to dominate. I think in the clinch, Santos will dominate. I think Santos is probably the better wrestler. So, unless Gillian can somehow get on top and end the fight, I got to go with Santos all day. I think she's just the superior fighter here. So give me Taila Santos. I just think she's going to be too much, and she could finish, but I'm going to say she wins a clearly dominant decision where she is able to outstrike Gillian, even take her down, control her on top, and get the victory. Fuck, man, we got some fire fights on this card right here. We got Marlon Moraes taking on Rob Font. Shit, man. Marlon Moraes, he's looking to right the wrongs of his last fight pretty quickly. He suffered that setback to Corey Sandhagen 3 months ago. But, he's 32 years old now. He's in kind of a do-or-die situation to me. If he can't defeat Rob Font, he's sure to think about his future, man, because I feel like he's clearly superior than Rob Font if he comes in at least a shell of what he used to be. Ever since Moraes entered the UFC, he's really only faced top 10 fighters. In 8 UFC fights, he's fought Rafael Sunsal, Dodson, Aljamain Sterling, Jimmy Rivera, Aldo, Corey Sandhagen. That's a murderer's row right there. And Marlon Moraes, we all know his game, man. Brutal low kicks, power in his hands. He has that switch kick to the head, throws a really nice jab. He likes to throw a left hook straight right combination. He attacks the body very well. That really nice right uppercut left hook combo. He feints really well, and he pulls guys into big power overhands. He has fast twitch, so he closes that gap very quickly. And when he touches you, man, he has that touch of death. He has a knockout shot, but he slows down in fights. If you pressure him, he tends to kind of, get tired. His volume becomes less. He'll start to slow his movement down, and that's where guys can start to pick him apart, back him up, stay in his face, start to add the numbers, and eventually take him out by TKO, which happened in his fights against Henry Cejudo. In his fight against Corey Sandhagen, he got hit with this spinning back heel kick to the face, so he was slowing down, but anyone's going to get knocked out with that. And Marlon Moraes, in this fight, I think he's going to be the better, superior grappler. He doesn't really wrestle much, but he has good level changes. He will probably be able to take Rob Font down if he wants to. And he's a black belt. He's well-versed on the ground. He's good at dropping guys, taking their backs and submitting them, snatching up guillotines. He has 5 submissions overall. He has good leg locks, and he was able to catch Rafael Sunsal in a guillotine, almost caught John Dodson in a guillotine. Rob Font, he's getting yet another shot to come through against a top-flight competition here. He's a guy who always tends to falter when he gets that step of competition. He's 7-3 in the UFC, but his best win is probably Sergio Pettis, who's a flyweight. And when Font got steps up in competition, faced top 10 guys such as the Sunsal, Pedro Munoz, John Lineker, he lost the fight. And Font has always been hasn't been very active lately. He's fighting for just the second time in 2 years. He's been fighting basically once a year for the last few years actually, and he's still one of the better boxers in MMA. He has good footwork. He has that killer jab, great fakes, great feints, and he'll throw really nasty jabs, 1-2s. He'll throw a jab followed by the 2 to the body. He attacks the body early and often with straights, with hooks. When he gets confident, he really starts to turn up the forward pressure, body head. He does a good job of hand fighting, coming over the top with punches. He has a really nasty counter uppercut. He'll mix in some nice round kicks, front kicks to the body, to the head. Real nice counter knee he'll use. Tight high guards. Solid overall boxing defense. He's hard to hit. He's clean. Sometimes Font can make a mistake, though, and load up, and that's what he did against Rafael Sunsao, and got dropped because of it. But when Font stays tight, technical, his defense is very good. He can get caught standing flat in front of opponents at times, though, and fighters can land 1-2s or overhands on Font when he's admiring his work or staying stagnant. He's also heavy on his lead leg with that boxing style, so I feel like Marlon Moraes is really going to try to chop down that leg. But Font has never been finished, and he's pretty durable. He has been hurt in certain fights like John Lineker, Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz did hurt him and then submit him, but he's very tough, man. He's durable. He only gets hurt by guys that hit extremely hard. And even Rafael Sunsao dropped Font in the first round. Font does tend to put himself in a defensive shell once he feels his opponent's power, though. He'll stay on the back foot, not take many risks. Doesn't have that one-punch power himself, but very sharp, tight. And if you can catch these guys super clean, I mean, he's going to knock you out. So he has 7 knockouts in his career. The fighters that Font has finished, though, in the UFC have all kind of had questionable chins. Font's grappling is pretty good. I mean, offensively, he has good timing, good clinch takedowns, good single. He'll chain takedowns together against the cage. On top, he isn't super dangerous. He more hits the takedowns to kind of change the rhythm of the fight. When fighters pressure him, he likes to hit takedowns. And he was able to land some fairly decent ground and pound on Sergio Pettis. Stood over him, controlled the legs, rained down some punches. To me, though, he still has average takedown defense. He does have a counter guillotine that he'll use, but when he gets taken down, he doesn't lay flat on his back. He makes it hard for guys to get damage off on him. He was able to stand up from under Ricky Simón pretty effectively in their fight, but he got taken down 6 times, though, and he only has 50% takedown defense. Rafael Sunsao was able to take down Font early in round 2, dominated him. He eventually was able to work back up to his feet midway through round 3, Font, but in the third round, Sunsao took him down in the second half of the round and was able to hold Font down until the round ended. Sunsao was doing a good job of ducking under for double legs when Font exposed his hips off the jab. In this fight, if anyone tries to grapple, I do see it being Marlon Moraes potentially, or Font potentially could grapple if he gets hurt, panic wrestles. He did panic wrestle in his one loss, got guillotined. But he has excellent cardio, and he throws a lot of high volume numbers, so that's going to be his path to victory here. He's going to have to, keep the jab in his face, push Marlon back, and try to just beat him on the numbers, 1-2s, attack the body, and just try to wear out Marlon Moraes with that forward pressure in his boxing game. But I just feel like you need more than a jab, man, to beat Marlon Moraes, more than a jab, too, more than boxing. Because, Aldo, everyone could pinpoint that fight, say he was getting walked down, he was getting beat up. Henry Cejudo, everyone could pinpoint that fight, say, he got tired, got beat up in the clinch, got taken out. Everyone could pinpoint even the fight against Corey Sandhagen, but those guys are elite cream of the crop strikers who are explosive, who throw kicks, who could move. And Henry Cejudo, he's not that, but Henry Cejudo is just a tough warrior. But Jose Aldo, Corey Sandhagen, I just feel like they're a level above Rob Font in terms of the explosiveness, the athleticism, the combinations that they throw. I feel like with Rob Font, I think Marlon is going to be comfortable, going forward on Rob Font. I don't know if Rob Font's going to be comfortable going forward on Marlon Moraes. I think that Marlon Moraes is going to be moving around. He's going to walk Rob Font in some big shots, and Font's going to feel it. I actually feel like Marlon Moraes is going to go back to his first round finishes, man. I think he's going to get a first round submission here, drop Font, catch him in a submission. I just feel like he's the more explosive fighter. I don't think that Font is going to be able to back him up and win with the boxing. I just think Marlon is going to be teeing off with the low kicks. I think he's going to be too explosive, closing that gap. I think he's going to be countering the jab, and eventually I just think he's going to land that big shot, hurt Rob Font, take him out. So give me Magic Marlon Moraes to get the win here. Talk about firefights, man. Fuck. Kyle and Williams taking on Michelle Pereira. This is a crazy fight right here, man. We got two of the, not up and coming stars, but just the two interesting guys in the UFC. Michel Pereira, who, you know, dances around. He's real goofy, throws a lot of flips, dances to the cage, dances in the cage. You know, puts his hands behind his back, slaps you in the face. And then you got Khaos Williams, who is coming in there cold as ice with the mean mug, no fucking around, and just wants to get down to action. So, kind of a contrast in styles in terms of how they fight, with Khaos Williams being more meat and potatoes and Michel being more all over the place, and their personalities, where Michel very flamboyant, very you know, out there in your face, and Khaos Williams wants to just go in there and do his job and you know, just be that killer. But man, I mean, this is a weird fight for me, because both these guys have really had trouble picking their fights. I haven't really trusted either guy. I haven't been picking either guy. I don't really rate either guy super highly. But with this fight, I mean, Michel did look really good in his last fight with his movement. He was able to move around. I mean, use those kicks, use his counter strikes, and he really is good at walking guys into that overhand right. You know, he has the better footwork. He's going to be moving around and trying to pull the Ox Fighter into big shots, attack him with those kicks to the body, to the head, and obviously he has the jumping attacks, everything that he throws. And Khaos Williams, I mean, he's showed more technical striking since joining the UFC. He showed a really nice counter left hook and then flurried on Alex Morono, took him out. Real straight, real tight shot in the pocket that knocked out Razak Al Hassan with one just nasty shot. I mean, that straight was disgusting. One of the knockouts of the year. And, man, I mean, it's just interesting, because I do feel like Pereira is going to have way better footwork. He's going to be able to move around, throw kicks, and just be the faster fighter. And Callan, you know, if you watch some of his fights on the regional scene, or just like, because I mean, you've only seen 60 seconds of him in the UFC, or even a little less, so it's hard to really gauge much off of that. But he does open up real wild. He'll kind of expose himself, and I do think that, you know, it's effective because he's so explosive. He closes that distance. If he touches you, he can hurt you, and he has a long reach, and really tries to use like full extension on his punches, so he can, you know, touch you from farther out than you think he could touch you, and he could sometimes kind of hurt you. And you know, he also has a decent grappling game he'll go to try to hit takedowns, and I feel like in this fight, maybe early on, he should try to close that gap and tire Michel out in the clinch by trying to hit takedowns as well. But Michel is a huge guy for 170. He's hard to take down. He's hard to control. But the one thing I don't like about Michel Pereira, that I don't know, that's the reason why I'm going to pick Khaos Williams in this fight, is because I watched Michel Pereira's fight with Dusko Todorovic, and Pereira got hit with the jab, and he just didn't like it, man. He didn't like getting hit, shelled up, and got finished. And against Khaos Williams, man, I mean, I just feel like he's the more durable guy. So maybe he's going to be able to just touch Michel Pereira in that first round, hurt him, and take him out. So I'm leaning towards Khaos Williams, but it's only because I think he's the more durable guy, and I don't really trust Michel's durability. And I think this is the first time. I don't think Zalimi Madaev or Diego Sanchez posed a big threat to Michel. They didn't, you know, close the gap quick enough. They didn't have that knockout power. Khaos Williams is going to pose a threat to Michel. So we're going to see if he's as comfortable, you know, throwing all that volume and being all crazy in the cage. So I'm actually going to go with Khaos Williams here via first round knockout, but super low confidence on this pick. And man, this is a great fight here. Jose Aldo taking on Chito Vera in the co-main event. I mean, we got the legend Jose Aldo, who's on a 3-fight losing streak for the first time in his career. So he definitely has a lot to prove here. He needs to get a win to kind of show that he's still around. I mean, he's been fighting elite level guys, though. I mean, he fought Marlon Moraes, the #1 contender. He fought Alexander Volkanovski, who's you know, the current UFC featherweight champion. Then he fought Petr Yan, who's the current UFC bantamweight champion. His other losses: Max Holloway, Conor McGregor, 2 former champions. So he's losing to guys that are absolutely elite, UFC legends, UFC Hall of Famers. And now he's fighting Chito Vera, who is not on that level. I mean, Chito Vera's coming off a win over the unranked Sean O'Malley. He did have a real close contested decision with Song Yadong, and he's won 6 out of his last 7 fights. Could potentially be 7 in a row. So he's coming up. Aldo's coming down. They're putting them together. They're going to see what happens. And I mean, man, I mean, I just got to stop it right away. Give some credit to that last fight with Aldo versus Pettis, man. I mean, that was one of the best fights of the year. I just watched it today, and man, they were on a freaking napkin in the center of the octagon. Just no freaking fat in their strikes, man. I mean, no tell, throwing perfect jabs, real tight, straight punches, nasty body shots. Aldo was ripping with the leg kicks, man. Those were the first time he brought those leg kicks back in a long time. And I really hope he has them again here for this Cheeto fight, because I think they'll be very effective. And, you know, he was just really looking good in certain portions of that fight. Super fast twitch. He was countering Pettis with nasty body shots, with front knees, with counter straights, counter hooks. He's just super. He still has that fast twitch ability, man. He still is super quick, but same thing kind of happened in his last few fights, where he slows down in the later rounds and gets beat, where, you know, in that 5th round against Pettis, he got finished pretty brutally, took a lot of shots. So you have to wonder, you know, where his durability is, but he still looked very durable previously in that fight on the feet before that happened. And if you watch his fight with Magic Marlon Moraes, I mean, he ate a couple of those high kicks early on in the fight that really knocked out other people. He was able to keep going. Really showed extremely good forward pressure in that fight. Stayed in Marlon's face for 3 rounds, and in my opinion won that fight, but he lost on the judges' scorecards. If that Aldo shows up, I really think Marlon Vera's in trouble, man, because I just don't think Vera's on the same level technically or athletically. And it's a 3-round fight, so I mean, Cheeto has the toughness, the durability, and the cardio, but that can only get you so far, man. I think that it could get you beat up. I mean, because Cheeto Vera, he has a real good style, forward pressure. He wants to get in the clinch where he hangs on guys. Really nice Muay Thai in the clinch. His boxing is improving under Jason Perillo, and you know, he has better combinations. He has those real nice kicks. Obviously, in his fight with Sean O'Malley, he landed that nasty low kick that hurt his leg. And if Cheeto can get on top, he has brutal ground and pound, real good submissions. He's an opportunistic finisher. He'll jump on guillotines, jump on arm triangles, jump on rear naked chokes from standing. But, man, in this fight, I just think he's up against it against a guy like Aldo. I think Aldo is the superior striker. I don't think he's going to be able to take Aldo down. I think Aldo is faster. I don't think Aldo is going to necessarily respect the power of Cheeto. I think he's going to be either keeping his ground in the middle of the cage, fighting like a Muay Thai style, or walking Cheeto down, being the guy going forward. And Cheeto's going to have to rely on maybe attacking the body, trying to slow Aldo down, eventually take him out. But this is a 5-round fight. I think Cheeto would have potentially more viability to be an underdog pick. But in a 3-round fight, man, I just think Aldo could easily bake 2 rounds with his jab, with his straight punches, with his low kicks, with his superior boxing, with his superior kickboxing, with his superior speed. I think if Marlon, jumps on a guillotine, Aldo gets on top. I think Aldo could stay on top, control, potentially do something on top. Cheeto, I mean, he has 3 rounds to get him out of there. I don't think he's going to win a decision against Aldo. I just don't think he has the skills to pay the bills at that level. I could be wrong. I mean, Aldo could come in here and look really bad maybe or something, but I feel like Aldo in his last 2 fights, those are some of the best performances he's had in years at 135. So I got to go with Scarface, man. I got to go with Jose Aldo. I always pick Aldo, I feel like, but this fight, I definitely feel like he's going to get it done. I just think he's a superior fighter, and I think he's going to win a decision here. I mean, Cheeto's very tough, but I think Aldo's going to do what he has to do to get the win. And finally, we got the main event here. We got Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. He's going to be welcoming Geoff Neal to the ranks of, the top 10. And then Geoff Neal, he's finally getting his just due, man. He's 5-0 to start his UFC career. Has run through most of his UFC opponents. He's finished 4 of the last 5 of them. And he's coming off a nasty first-round knockout over Mike Perry. Now he's getting this huge step up in, one of the best strikers of all time, Wonderboy Thompson. It's going to be his first main event, first 5-round fight in the UFC. And Neal, though, he has some of the cleanest striking in the UFC himself. He switches stances, really nasty straight left hand, straight right hand, nasty jab. He'll double, triple up on the jab. Really good distance control. He slides in and out of range very effectively. He'll swarm with 1-2s when his opponent's hurt. But he's good at keeping his composure. He doesn't brawl. And opponents seem very surprised at how far he can hit them. And he has phenomenal extension on his punches. His punches come fast. They come clean. Fighters don't see him coming. He has a nasty head kick he sets up off the 1-2. And he landed that on Mike Perry, knocked him out. Very good low kicks, and he needs to use those early and often in this fight. He's historically been durable. He got rocked with a headbutt when he got in his fight with Niko Price. And, you know, he did get stopped by Kevin Holland, but he was still on his feet when that stoppage happened. I think it was a little bit premature. He has 7 knockouts himself. Definitely has that one-punch power in his cross and his jab. When he touches guys up, you see their faces start to mark up. He definitely is a big power hitter. He's a strong grappler. He's improving his takedown defense. Very hard to hold down. Super explosive. And, you know, he's strong in the clinch. He has good double underhooks. Lands nice knees, good elbows, good takedowns in the clinch himself. And, you know, he does a good job of, he likes to, you know, hit a slam and then lock in the rear naked choke right away and hit these no-hook rear naked chokes. He tried to do it against Niko Price. He did do it against Brian Camozzi. When he gets on top, though, he has really good ground and pound. He proved that. He took Niko Price out with big ground and pound from inside of Niko's guard. He has been submitted 1 time. He has 2 submissions himself. Great cardio. I feel like he can go 5 rounds. And for Stephen Thompson, I mean, he looked pretty good in his performance against Vicente Luque. But at 37 years old, before that, he did lose back-to-back fights. He's definitely on his last run here to get the belt. So any loss is kind of huge for Stephen Thompson. And we all know about Thompson, man. He has that sideways karate stance. He switches stances really fast. Really good distance control. He, you know, is very good at not letting guys get inside on him. But, you know, you have to start going low on him first. Attack the body, attack the legs. Darren Till was able to damage the leg of Thompson with the oblique kick. Anthony Pettis was able to wear on the leg of Stephen Thompson, eventually knocked him out. But Thompson, you know, he has a nasty jab, very good 1-2. He has a very heavy straight left hand, and he's really good at, you know, landing it, angling off, just touching you, getting you frustrated, getting you to open up, and that's where he has those front kicks, he has those spinning kicks, and if you open up on him, then he's going to land that kill shot. So he's a very hard guy to fight because he's hard to close that gap on, and he gets you frustrated, and when you open up on him, he takes you out. So he has an interesting style to deal with, but he has struggled a little bit with guys that have a real fast, powerful cross that close that distance, like Tyron Woodley, and that's what we have in Geoff Neal, who I think is even a little bit faster, even has a little bit straighter, tighter punches than a guy like T. Wood. He also is just cleaner with his setups. He sets up his high kicks real well. And we've seen Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, even though he's very durable, he's only got knocked out and finished 1 time against Anthony Pettis. And he also has a lot of heart, man. I mean, you have to put Wonderboy out. If you hurt him, he's going to try his hardest to stay in the fight. But he's gotten dropped in 4 of his last 6 fights. He's gotten dropped with a lot of crosses, like versus Darren Till, versus Tyron Woodley twice. And that's what Geoff Neal likes to do. So I do think like Geoff Neal is going to be putting damage on Stephen Thompson throughout the fight, touching up his face, hitting the legs. And it's going to be accumulation damage. And it's going to eventually lead to him landing that big shot, knocking out Stephen Thompson, or wearing on him, I believe. But Stephen Thompson is probably going to throw more strikes. He's going to be the quicker guy. He's probably going to be trying to be in and out, touch Geoff Neal, you know, walk him into the big shot, obviously. But don't worry about that. More like the Vicente Luque fight, where he just triples him up with the volume, really gets his beat on him after the first round and starts to take over. But in that fight, even against Vicente Luque, he took a lot of big crosses, he took a lot of big shots in the pocket, and he was willing to sit down and be more aggressive in that fight, which was good to see, because Wonderboy at times could be a very risk-averse. But in this fight with Geoff Neal, I just feel like Neal is a little bit crisper, cleaner than Vicente Luque, and maybe even hits a little bit harder. So I don't know. I just feel like 5 rounds. This is a very interesting fight, because I feel like if it goes to decision, Stephen Thompson potentially could beat him on the numbers, just be the cleaner striker, better striker. He could fluster him and just dominate him on the feet. I mean, that type of style is hard to get a beat on, and I don't think Geoff Neal is going to be able to be effective with his takedown game, even though he has a good body lock game. I don't think he's really going to be able to get inside like that. But I just think that Geoff Neal's explosiveness and his ability to close that distance and his power is going to start to wear on Stephen Thompson when he starts to land more and more punches. Maybe he'll bloody the face of Thompson. I think he's going to attack the legs as well. I think he's going to have a smart game plan. And I just see Geoff Neal landing the bigger, more impactful shots, maybe getting a knockdown or two, and
eventually wearing down Stephen Thompson, cutting off the cage, touching him and hurting him and finishing him off. So I'm actually going to go with Geoff Neal via 4th round KO TKO. But this fight that could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if Neal even won a decision either. But if it gets a decision, I think it becomes much more dicey. And my pick's going to be Geoff Neal via 4th round knockout. So there you have it, guys. Thanks for watching the breakdown. As far as the plays go for this week, my most confident pick on the card is going to be Drako Rodriguez. For the play of the week, I'm just going to do Taila Santos. I'm not going to give a parlay this week. Don't really like many parlays. And for the underdogs of the week, it's going to be Marcin Tybura, Carlton minus, and Cody Durden. So we have a few underdogs there that I like to pick from for you guys. And like always, just make sure to comment, like, subscribe. Thanks for always supporting the channel. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of growth this year. And thanks a lot, man. If you got anything from the channel, put a comment down below. Tell me what you like about the channel, what you don't like, what you think I could improve on. Anything helps. So I'm probably going to be doing some videos between now and the fight before, but this is going to be a pretty long gap between UFC fights. So put down below some content that you want to see too, if you want to see something new. But also make sure to keep plugged into the Mecca with Mr. Arkansas. I've been talking about the last couple weeks, and it's the end of the final 3 now. So we're in the last 3. Hopefully we can get the win this week, get that first place. That'd be pretty awesome. And make sure to check it out. It's going to be after the event here on Mr. Arkansas's channel. So thanks for watching, guys. Like always, like I said, make sure to write down your comments, put a like, and thanks for watching.